this interview. As you know, we only have a short amount of time, so let's go ahead and get started right away.
Okay.
Now, I know that you've been involved in some work on community issues. Can you tell me what attracted you to the community issue that you chose at the beginning of the semester?
Absolutely. The community issue that I chose at the beginning of the semester was censorship. I first became interested in censorship when I was in high school, when we read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and The Catcher in the Rye. Both of those books have been censored throughout their history, and I was interested in the process of censoring books. From that point, I realized how much censorship there was on television. That's what I gave my introductory speech on. Television has TV shows and it has movies. Movies that are shown on television have been adapted and censored, especially rated R movies. Usually the violence stays about the same, but the sex and the curse words are the parts that get censored. That doesn't sit well with me, and that's why I chose it as my community issue.
Okay, thank you. Now, your materials also said that you were involved in a community issue team project that focused on a call to action. Can you share with me what call to action your team put forward and why you chose that call to action?
Yes, the call to action that my team and I chose was to convince people to vote against recreational marijuana. Now, this is contrary to the beliefs of most college students around the nation, in that most of them are pro-legalization. However, with it being on the ballot in many states in recent years, both medical and recreational, we figured this issue was relevant to November. And also, one of our group members, Brianna, is from Colorado, a state that has already legalized recreational marijuana. And she had seen some negative effects that recreational marijuana had on her community. So we decided that it would be good to let people know that there are negative side effects to marijuana, not just the positive effects that marijuana has on people and the medical uses, but the negative effects that marijuana has on a community.
I see. Now, if I were to ask the other members of your team what they think your biggest strength is, what do you think they would say, and why do you think they would say it?
I think they would say that my organizational skills are my biggest strength. We didn't always have enough time, and our schedules didn't always work out where we could all meet together face to face. This meant that we had to stay very organized and know which parts of the speech each of us was going to write and give before we ever formed our entire outline. So this required us to go through the rubric individually, and I did this myself, to go through the rubric and look at the different parts of the speech that each of us had written and make sure that we hit all the points that we needed to on the rubric. Apart from that, once we all finished our separate sections, I put them all together and made sure that each one of us had the proper portion, the proper parts that we needed in order to submit a full outline.
Okay, great. What for you was the most challenging thing about working with your team?
The most challenging part for me was the electronic communication. I don't do well when I can't meet face-to-face with somebody, especially when we're doing a group project. Normally, when you do a group project, you try and meet face-to-face and you hash everything out and bounce ideas off of each other. It's harder to do that through electronic communication, through texting, through emails. So we needed to do a large amount of that in order to fulfill all the requirements needed in the rubric to put out a good persuasive speech. And we stayed well organized both before and after the outline was done so that we could give a concise, persuasive argument that made sense when we put all three of our parts together. And we did accomplish that. So I obviously learned a little bit about electronic communication during this portion of the semester.
Thank you. Okay, last question. In 30 seconds or so, tell me what your biggest takeaway was from Comm 1
My biggest takeaway from the semester was the use of video recording devices. I've given speeches before in the past, and I've never been able to see myself afterwards. I know that it's part of the practice is you're supposed to record yourself and then watch it, but being able to do it in a classroom setting was invaluable to me. Peer reviews are nice and feedback from the instructor is good, but I'm my own biggest critic. So it's good for me to see my speech afterwards and know what parts I can improve upon and which parts I was doing well for future speeches.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. We'll probably be in touch with you in the next few weeks or so. Take care.
Thanks. I look forward to hearing from you.